beaches to pools to the shade on the boardwalks, New Yorkers are battling the heat. The pandemic only making some efforts to cool off even harder. News 4's Andrew Siff is live in the hybrid section of the Bronx with the COVID complications of beating the heat. Andrew.
Yeah, Chuck, it's pretty sweltering here in the Bronx. This is the type of weather that so many neighborhoods were worried about when they pressured Mayor de Blasio to open the swimming pools despite the pandemic. De Blasio eventually relented, opening up 8 of them, just like this one, although it's at 30% reduced capacity. An umbrella for the heat and a face mask for the pandemic. Welcome to the 2020 heat wave.
Like 100 degrees? With a suit, it feels like 1,000.
Actually, just in the 90s. But this is already one of the hottest summers on record in city history.
Humid, it is hot, sticky. We need this pool time.
Madeline Tarrant glad to get her kids into the pool today. Just 3 days after the city finally opened 8 pools, delayed amid the COVID crisis.
Take this heat situation seriously.
Mayor de Blasio, after declaring a heat advisory, visited the Kosciuszko pool in Brooklyn. He also reminded New Yorkers to look after their neighbors, especially seniors, who even in the age of COVID still have cooling centers available to them.
Seniors in particular, make sure they're okay and they have what they need. Everyone's got to stay hydrated. People should not be out in the heat.
The beach is packed and closing down when the parking lots hit 50% capacity. The pools, in an abbreviated summer for them, reduced their maximum crowd by 30%.
If you don't have a pool open, then people's not going to be able to refresh themselves.
But oh so refreshing for those who waited in lines and followed the new social distancing rules. For 8-year-old Kevin Eduardo and his friends, the pool executed its job to perfection.
It feels really cool and it calms the heat down.
Sure does. You can see how many kids are in this pool. The pools are open till 7 o'clock, and you can bet those 8 city pools that are open are going to be filled with kids, filled as much as they're allowed, all the way up until closing time. Live in the Bronx, Andrew Siff, News 4 New York.
All right, Andrew, having a lot of fun there behind you. Thanks so much for that. On Long Island, we have to talk about some COVID fears at a day camp after 4 camp counselors tested positive, and that camp is still open. Those 4 positive tests caused some children to quarantine. News 4's Greg Sergel is in Dix Hills with what the camp director has to say.
Monday looked like a normal day at Park Shore Day Camp. But this 61-year-old facility in Dix Hills is now the first day camp on Long Island with positive COVID cases. Suffolk's Health Department says at least 4 counselors have contracted the virus.
It's not something that's unexpected. There is COVID on Long Island.
The president of a Long Island Camps Association believes this outbreak will be contained. Right now, we don't know how the counselors got the virus or how many campers may have been exposed to it. But Park Shore's owner says some campers are now under quarantine.
I think that the day camp has done a phenomenal job of protecting our children.
Lisa Tuizzolo, the wife of murdered NYPD Sergeant Paul Tuizzolo, brings her 2 kids to this camp and says she'll continue to do so. But some in this community, like COVID survivor Marla Bank, question the wisdom of keeping day camps open.
You got too many kids, too close together. I mean, when you're dealing with small children or whatever age, you don't know what they're doing.
In a statement, Park Shore's owner said, "We initiated each and every protocol provided before the camp opened Monday to maintain the safety of all our campers and staff. We are confident the camp remains a safe environment."
I wouldn't feel comfortable sending my child to someplace where I knew counselors were infected.
To reassure parents, state protocol requires that camp groups be limited to 15 kids and that those groups be kept separate from one another most of the time. And counselors and their parents also sign an agreement to follow social distancing guidelines even when not at work.
Something happened outside and it was brought into camp, but obviously it's going to be contained, and that's the important thing.
Greg Sergel, News 4 New York.
In a first, police have arrested the owners of a South Jersey gym. They are charged with defying the state's shutdown order. The charges are the latest in a long-running dispute between the owners of the Attilas gym and state officials, including Governor Phil Murphy. Officers arrested Ian Smith and Frank Trombetti this morning. Prosecutors say the 2 ignored multiple court orders to close, including one Friday, in which the judge also found the 2 in contempt of court. Airbnb has just responded to reports of a large party at a New Jersey home, which had a crowd estimated at 700 people, despite coronavirus restrictions. Police in Jackson Township, New Jersey, say they arrested 3 people last night while breaking up the party at a home in Whispering Hill neighborhood. Investigators say the homeowner, 40-year-old Yakov Weiss, rented out that residence on Airbnb. Police say they issued summonses to Weiss and 2 other people who organized the party for violating Governor Murphy's executive order. Airbnb says it strongly condemns the reported behavior.
700 people, wow. All right, more New York City bars and restaurants are being slapped with violations for not sticking to the social distancing guidelines. Just over the weekend, more than 130 violations were given out to bars and restaurants in the city alone, and 10 liquor licenses have been suspended since Friday. News 4's Adam Cooperstein live in Jackson Heights with why some businesses say they feel they're being unfairly targeted. Adam.
So, Natalie, at least 3 businesses here on Northern Boulevard have had their licenses suspended. The owners didn't want to talk on camera. They're worried about retribution. What they're saying is that these rules are difficult to navigate already, and some things are out of their control. For instance, this spot hired a security guard because of crowds. That didn't work, and they say now they're paying the price. You've seen the crowds, now more consequences.
I want the establishments to know that we will continue to diligently enforce the law. That's what this is. It's enforcing the law.
Governor Cuomo issuing 132 citations over the weekend for bars and restaurants in the city and on Long Island that he says violated outdoor dining restrictions.
I see a lot of people hanging out for no reason, late night. I mean, and they don't keep the distance.
Delamora and Lima in Jackson Heights, Queens. Just 2 of the 40 spots that have now had their liquor licenses suspended.
He observed that the licensee permitted patrons to stand and congregate while drinking beverages in front of the establishment. They're not social distancing.
The state liquor authority says their investigators discovered multiple violations leading to these suspensions.
The NYPD has indicated to us that this particular establishment is a problem.
One restaurant owner on Northern Boulevard says the crackdown will not only help control crowds, but also the mess left behind. You think it's good that the government's shutting them down?
Yes.
And now Governor Cuomo again warning he may shut down New York City bars and restaurants out of concerns of a COVID surge. But so far, state and city data shows no spike in cases since outdoor dining started weeks ago.
We have not seen virus transmission from people eating outside, to be very clear. And the reason I want to be clear on that point is because we track this.
Each citation, by the way, equals a fine of up to $10,000. All of yesterday's citations in the entire state were in the city, 27 in total. So business owners in the city are saying, well, how come we're being targeted more than everyone else? Governor Cuomo blamed a lack of local enforcement from the city, from the NYPD. He said other areas are more aggressive. Reporting live in Jackson Heights, Queens, Adam Cooperstein, News 4 New York.